Today we have a courageous story with Vanessa Buck. Vanessa is a vision board mentor and talks to us today about how she became a vision board mentor and the psychology behind creating your vision in various ways. Listen to today's inspiring episode, which is the first courageous story of 2023. Let us know what you think and if this has inspired you. Enjoy. Hello, you're listening to the Courageous Goals podcast. This podcast is for high achieving, courageous women who want growth and the know-how to scale their business online. Running a business is a journey and a process. The more we learn in action, the more we succeed. If you're a woman in business, this is the podcast for you. Be in the 5% of businesses that make it. Let's get bold and create the life we desire. I'm bringing my passion to you through advice, coaching, inspiration, and support to help you create and design the life and business you want to live. I am a Dubsado expert, CPD certified in social media platforms, and a lover of admin systems and processes. I am an accredited ICF coach, specialising in trauma and narcissism. My own coaching journey has supported my growth immensely, and I want to share those highlights with you to inspire and give you courage. Let's get intentional with our goals and make them happen. Let's get started. Okay, so hello and welcome to today's episode of the Courageous Goals podcast. Today we have a courageous story and I have Vanessa Buck with me, who is a vision board mentor. Vanessa, would you like to introduce yourself and then we can kind of get started and find out more about your business journey?
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Lee, for having me. It's a real pleasure to come on and join you. And yes, can't wait to share my story.
Fab. Okay, so first questions first. How did you come up with the name of your business and how would you describe what you do? For those that have no idea what a vision board mentor is, how would you describe that?
I came up with the name because I really do feel that vision boards can be for everyone at some time in their life. And I know if you talk to business coaches, they would say niche down, niche down. But I think when you are ready for it, you see the possibilities and the opportunities and something that people can explore. And I didn't want to kind of leave anyone out, and you can use it in so many different ways, and that's where the name kind of came from. And I've already forgotten your other question. I'm so busy concentrating on that, so that's a bad start for a start.
So would you like me to repeat it?
Yes, please. Sorry.
Okay, so how would you describe what you do?
So I would just describe what I do is basically I hold a space for people to be able to explore their dreams, desires, aspirations by kind of reconnecting with how they want to feel in their life and what they want to attract. And I think we often are so busy doing all the roles and all the jobs that we take on through our life and we pick up, that sometimes we don't have the opportunity to create that space for ourselves. So I kind of holding that safe space, because it can actually get quite emotional, is to allow people to get out of their head and into their heart by using imagery, pictures, words, quotes. And I see so many light bulb moments. It's unbelievable. When I started, I never believed it would have so many light bulb moments, and hearing so many people change from just doing one vision board. And I think when we understand our own vision, we get that clarity and that purpose, and because of that, life becomes more simpler and actually more meaningful. And I think what happens, 95% of what we do daily is repeated, so it's very, very hard to change anything in our life, even when we know we're not really aligned and connected in the same way. So I really feel I just hold that space for people to be able to either ignite that spark within themselves, or to sow that seed where next, if they're at that crossroads, if they're of finding they're overwhelmed, just so they can tune back in and get back on the right path.
Yeah, I find that really fascinating, actually, because recently I've heard a couple of different ways about doing vision boards. And as part of my training recently, I've actually heard of self-care vision boards, which was a whole new thing. And I was like, oh, what's this about? And it literally is about looking after yourself. So kind of what images and words really relate to you, and how can you use that to, you know, remind yourself on that self-care vision board of how you want to feel and how you can change a negative to a positive and all these different things. And I was just like, wow, I bet there are so many different types of vision board ways to work, you know, not just goal focus, but self-care and anything else. And I was like, wow.
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. And that's how I do my vision boards. I have several. I don't have just one. And that's exactly the one I use most is my self-care one, because if we're not pouring into our cup, we can't give to others. And how many times when you go on an aeroplane do they say, you know, obviously at the beginning, the safety brief, they say put your own oxygen mask on first. And actually we are so busy giving and nurturing others because we want to be in service, we want to support people, but actually by giving back to ourselves, we actually can help more people because we are pouring into our cup. You know, I use the when I kind of hold the space, a workshop, or on either it be a one-to-one or in a in-person or online situation, I always talk about connection. And I think there's three ways we can connect, and we have to connect. And it's your first one is you're connecting with yourself, which is your body, your mind, your spirit, and what we feed it, not just food, but the information we're taking on, what we're saying to ourselves. If we're watching 5 hours of Jeremy Carl and eating 3 meals a day, that's McDonald's, and we're not going to feel as good as someone who is trying to be surrounded with people how they want to be in their life. And I don't know, inspirational podcasts like this, it's about inspirational women and other people, you know, so people can see there's other opportunities, and there is more out there, and if you can dream it, you can have it for sure. But it's our own limiting beliefs. So that's the first connection. The second is your physical home. So if your home is cluttered and disorganized, that naturally can really bring our energy down because we feel out of control. Often when people are doing building work, that really can bring quite a lot of stress on, and it's because they don't feel that connection. They don't feel that it's a safe space, because you're being woken up at all sorts of time for builders walking in and out. And then the third is our bigger home, which is the world. It's where we live, and we have to have that connection. And now where we often get in a car to complete jobs and roles, we sometimes don't notice the birds, don't notice the the light. And being connected to all three, it's so important. And I kind of feel that is what we really work on, is that connection piece, really.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And you don't realize how important it is, do you? All those little things that make up into one big thing in how you are in yourself day to day.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And like we were talking before, at Christmas we can feel quite frazzled and overwhelmed. Even when we stand in a queue in a coffee shop now, instead of where we used to maybe dream and look and give our body the opportunity and our brain to problem solve, we have our phone on us and we're scrolling, or we're suddenly ordering something or replying to an email. And so naturally we end up living in our fight and flight response. And when we actually take that time to, even just 10 minutes, to just reconnect and do a body scan and really feel like, what do I feel? You realize you're breathing with your chest and not your belly. And even just by doing 3 deep breaths really can bring you out of that fight and flight response, and really bring you back down. And I think a lot of times we become ill around this time of year because we are living more heightened in that fight and flight response. So is that vision board for me reminds me to show up for myself, to remember to hear what my body's telling me, listen to the whispers, because if you don't listen to the whispers, it will come out in a physical form in some way.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. You might be surprised to hear I've only been doing vision boards for the last 3 years, but it actually turns out I've been, you have like a notice board or something in your kind of office space, and you have all these things up that inspire you or that you like or whatever, but you don't really realize, oh, that's actually what I've created in my own way.
Yes,
But,
yes, most definitely. And those pictures are just representing that feeling behind something. And we've all done vision boards in some way without even realizing. If you've ever cut out something from a magazine, it might be a hotel or a recipe, or we've done a screenshot of something, that is a form of vision boards. Lots of people use Pinterest, but I think what a vision board does is, when you've only got something that's slightly smaller in the sense of like an A3 board, because you've obviously got to put it in your house somewhere, when you actually have to kind of really hone down on what you want to feel and what you want to attract and what's the most important here and now, because obviously we are always on the journey to work towards something, and we need that clarity and that focus and that motivation. But what needs to come first, because the bigger picture, and this is why I think you need several. Sometimes you might need that business one, or if you're in business, you might need that yearly one, and then from that you can take those elements, it's the kind of roots from trees, and kind of do smaller ones as well. But the one that you connect with normally is the one about you. I did my first ever workshop I did was for a business. It was a marketing company, and the first thing I got them to do was actually do their personal board. And there was 5 participants that worked within the company. And when they realized actually they all bring something unique to the table, they all do their own roles within the business, but you still have your own dreams and aspirations that help you towards your business and keep you alight, and it reminds you of your why. And by connecting with your personal board helps you really to connect with your business board. And I think they go hand in hand for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because it's all about how you feel at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yes,
So
yes.
yeah, it's all like held within your body, and it's like, what do I need? What do I want? And you really feel it from deep within, don't you? So that's how it kind of comes out and transpires into its personal or business or whatever it is. But yeah, I think it's all about your feelings, your emotions that are tied to these things.
And that exactly. And when people this time of year, a lot of people are setting goals, and they might use that SMART goal kind of analogy, but that's very good. But if there's no emotion behind those goals, so you have to use your senses again, we won't necessarily, it'd be much harder to show up. Athletes have been using visualization for years and years, and it's now been scientifically proven that kind of 80% of what they actually do is um, is actual visualization, and 20% is actually the physical. And they've actually done scientific studies where they've got basketball team pretending to visualize shooting, and then the other actually practicing the shooting, and the results are astounding, and they've constantly doing that. And I think the reason why it works is our brain doesn't distinguish between the real and the imagined. So when we are triggering our neurons in our brain to react as if what we are imagining is actually happening, this builds those new neural pathways. And so the brain then will use that when the event occurs. So what happens when we do this mental rehearsal, it means we're getting familiar with the unfamiliar, and it then means it turns possibilities into not kind of fearing them. So your vision board is your future goals, aspirations, and you might not actually think how could I get there, but it's working with the feeling now, so when you do get there, you've already imagined it, and it's actually not so scary. So if you're wanting, I use analogy of if you want a new sofa, you have to make room for it. So you have to get rid of the old sofa. And so that's creating that space. So you're creating that space for those dreams to show up. So you're visualizing, how will it feel? What will it taste like? And so you use those SMART goals and those visual goals, and you work together, and then you make the actual plan. You still need a strategy, because otherwise it just is a wish board. So you still have to then set those goals, how you're going to how they're going to happen, but you are going to put emotion behind them and use those 5 senses. So like the likes of Muhammad Ali, he visualized that when he walked into that ring, he could smell his own sweat, he could hear the sound of the crowd screaming, hit the flash of the cameras. So he was visualizing all that thing behind it. And it reminds us, your vision board does remind you keep reminding you to show up for what you want, because 90% of information transmitted to the brain is visual. And even more so now, if you think how we process media, TV, we don't read so much. We do, we get information from TikTok, in a 5-minute kind of reel as such. And 40% of people will respond better visually to visual information rather than text as well. So that is why it's so important, I think, to use imagery in this way.
Yeah, and there's a lot of psychology behind it. I was just listening to you say all those things, and I'm like, actually, there is a lot of psychology, and you just don't realize, because you think you're just creating this vision, the goals that you would like in the future at some point, but really there is a lot of psychology. Once you really dig deep and get involved in it, it's it's actually quite a big thing, isn't it? It's fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people think that's exactly it. It's so hard to put that across, because if you just do a vision board workshop, just one, it's a lovely afternoon. And that's how I originally started it, and perhaps you did as well. You went along and you cut some pictures out, and it was a lovely afternoon, and you came away and you had some goals on there and some aspirations. But then, what does it mean? And for me, that was when I really started, I came away thinking, I'm not sure what this means. And that's when I kind of started to explore. I know it's sown a seed to me, and I knew that it was about connection. And then that's when I kind of created my own methodology. I had been doing courses in COVID, So a little bit of backstory is that I run a nail and tanning business for 25 years. It worked well with my while my kids were growing up, and I loved it, but I had found that after 25 years I was getting injuries. I hadn't looked after myself, and I had suffered ME, I had lost my mum, and I just carried on and just would put on this act and this front because they were there, and I was there to serve them. I didn't put myself in the pile, even when my son, he was 6 weeks old and had an operation. I left his bedside after the operation to come home and do everyone's nails that I'd had to cancel on the Sunday because I didn't want to let anyone down. You know, that just was not normal behavior, but because I didn't feel I was good enough and people had wanted to come to me for my treatments, that I, you know, they came before me, and everyone came before me. And I think sometimes mums find themselves, if there's one apple in the bowl, they will give it to their children and they won't give themselves a piece. And it's coming back to pouring into your own cup. And I kept having these signs and these whispers being told to me. And actually, for me, although COVID was an extreme hard time for lots of people, for me, I had to stop because I was told I had to stop. You know, we were told to stay at home, and that gave me the permission that I'd never felt that I could give myself, to be able to take time out and really discover what I wanted, who I was, because I didn't actually know who Vanessa was. I was Harriet and Toby's mum, I was someone's wife, I was a daughter, a sister, a work colleague, a business owner. And it was a time to kind of really reconnect, realign, and really decide how I wanted to feel. And I was very lucky that this vision board that I'd done had been in February and we closed down in March. And I kept looking at my vision board, didn't really know what it meant. I kept doing courses. I did a life coach. I knew I didn't want to be a life coach, but I was just exploring loads of avenues, because whenever I did my treatments, everyone said, oh, you should be a counsellor, because obviously I think naturally you're there for an hour sitting with someone, and people tell you their story, their life, and you connect with people. So I then felt that I wanted to spread the word of vision boards, of how it helped me, and it was just really a bit of a passion project. And it was then, and I started to explore, as you were saying, the more details. If you know, there's obviously more to it than just sticking pictures on. And that's where I got lost down the rabbit hole, and find myself a year later, really every time sitting with people doing their vision board, it literally lights my world. And it just is, I see so much potential in how it can change people's life, and would love to reach so many more people. But I'm on the journey to get my messaging right, but I just know how it can make such a difference. And hopefully I will be able to reach more people down the line. But Rome wasn't built in the day, as we know. And it's, you know, it's being able to enjoy where you are, not rushing to the destination. And I often say to people, especially mums, when you have found something that you really love and you enjoy, it's about also still filling your cup in all the other areas of your life. And when it comes to that 6 weeks of school holiday, I had a lot of people contact me and said, oh gosh, I don't know how I'm going to cope. And I use the analogy of the road. You know, you wouldn't get into a car without knowing your destination, and your destination is your ideal life. Like you would, so let's say Cornwall, you would know the route you'd need to take. But along the way, if we look at life in the same way. We look at the view, we slow down, and your 6-week school holiday is about slowing down, leaning into it, enjoying that moment, getting out of the car and having a picnic, but knowing and trusting that you're going to get back on the car and you're still going to go on your journey. But it's not about the push. And I think we're all so busy in this life now, just really, really pushing and pushing. And I think we need to step back and lean in and trust and believe. If you're taking consistent action, you're showing up for yourself, that it will happen. We've seen so many things with athletes, with like people like Ed Sheeran, who was told, no, 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 you couldn't be a singer, you don't have the look. But he was showing up for himself no matter what, because that's what he loved. And look, who is a worldwide performer. Yeah. The same with Walt Disney. You know, they said, oh no one wants a living magic world. Everyone who doesn't want to go to Walt Disney, there's not many people that don't want to go and get lost in that dream.
Yeah.
and I think, that's why I just think we have to trust and believe ourselves a little bit more, and not get caught up in that comparison trap as well of where someone else is, which is so easy, hard.
So easy to get caught up in comparing yourself online, especially. But yeah, we all do it day to day, whether it's in person or online. But online is so much easier because we're always on our phones.
Yes, it is. And you just think, oh gosh, they've got so many comments, or they're people like them, or they've got more followers, or whatever it is, or they're further in their journey than you. And I don't teach vision boards that way. Oh gosh, am I doing it wrong? And it's not, because someone will resonate with you. Someone, I've loads of testimonials, and so I know I'm okay. So I know I got to trust. Not everyone is going to like my style, and that's okay, because there's enough of us in the world. We are all unique. We are all special. And I created this dream life kind of methodology when we go that little bit deeper, and I work with someone on a one-to-one business, and it's about, D is for designing your life, and how do you want it to look, how do you want it to feel, and then R is like realigning and reconnecting and reimagining, because we often find our own self-limited beliefs hold us back. So, playing with it, and it's okay if it doesn't happen. It's being brave enough to play with it and try on the different coats. If you're unsure what you want to do in your life, I work with a young people's charity, and when people are starting out, that is really hard for them, so I go in and do their vision boards for them. And then E is for experience. You never fail. We put this big thing on that, oh gosh, I've gone and done a degree and I don't want to do anything in that. Your skills are so transferable. So it's always kind of reframing and taking it forward. And then A is for like action and being in alignment with your goals and dreams, because what we wanted in our 20s is going to be different to our 30s, 40s, 50s, because we've had life experience, we've had things that have happened, and so what we wanted changes, and that's okay. The road sometimes is going to be bumpy. It's sometimes going to be a bit hair raising. Sometimes it's going 100 miles an hour, but it's okay to slow down and look at the view and realign and connect. And then M is for motivation, and S is really to celebrate the small things, celebrate those small successes. And I think showing up for your vision board is exactly that. It's you're showing up, and when you've set yourself that task of maybe just doing 2 walks a week at lunchtime because you sit at your desk all day and you've shown up, it's celebrating that you've done 2 walks, not that, oh, I should have done 3, oh, I'm still rubbish, I still haven't fitted, I got to aerobics class or something. Celebrate what you have done. It's reprogramming those neural pathways, and it's you showing that kindness and self-compassion to yourself. You just naturally start feeling happier and more content, because you're showing up for yourself. So that's kind of the first premise of it, kind of
Yeah.
going into
That's
it.
so inspiring. Everything you're saying is just like, wow.
Oh,
It's all a positive thing, isn't it? Creating a vision board. So I completely get everything that you're saying. So Vanessa, what motivates you in your business? What is the thing that really stands out that, keeps you going?
I think it's being able to inspire and help women to show up for themselves, and with the kindness and compassion, and champion others. It's so amazing to be able to champion other women who and collaborate with, and when you collaborate and work together, great things can happen. And I think it's being authentic, and unique, and just accepting ourselves as special, and be willing to learn and grow. And I think it's just being real. We're not perfect, we don't need to be perfect, and accepting our weaknesses and strengths are so important. And finding your tribe. And I think that's what keeps me motivated, keeps me going. And yes, I just love, we're our own worst enemy, aren't we, as
Yeah.
humans? And I just want to, inspire people to see that they are worthy,
Yeah.
and to feed all parts of themselves. And it's okay not to be perfect, and being aware, and not, not when you fear it, turning it around, reframing it, and own it. I think
Stepping
that's the
into
thing.
how it feels, but how
Yes.
can you kind of move on and change it round to, feel more positive and, whatever it
Yes.
is you need. So who or what has supported you the most?
Oh gosh, I think there's a
Big
lot of,
question.
yeah, that's a real hard one. um I would say the people who have invested in me, because when you start out, um, they've heard a message, they've liked what they've heard, and then they've championed you with sending you a testimonial. So it makes you realize that actually, um, you you are, even if you make a difference to one person, you're making a difference. And I think it's those trusting in me, um, and coming with me on this journey,
Mm,
really.
yeah.
um, I think it's the people who have trusted me to hold that space for them, because it's a really private space.
Yeah.
You never know what's going to show up and what's going to trigger you. And so there's no one person, it's women in general. I would say they all inspire me in some way, because we are all fighting our own internal struggles, life struggles. um, but women are multi-layered, um, and we're quite amazing.
I agree. I like that. So what's unique about you and your business? What stands out for people to work with you?
um, I would probably say that, um, you get all of me. I'm not in it just to make big money. Well, I haven't made big money yet. I would like to make more money. I am a money magnet, so I am saying that I attract money.
You're
But
putting it out there. That's a good thing.
I am putting it out there, and for me to be able to continue, I need to obviously make it viable. So I think it's that they are safe. It's a safe space. I'm championing them. I see so many opportunities in others, and would love to support them, to send them on the journey, to make them amazing, if they feel they can't do it on their own. Um, so I think it's just that I am there. I'm authentic. I'm real. I might challenge you a little bit, but let's do this together.
Support together.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone's success is completely different. What are the secrets to your success?
I think my secrets to my success is me being me and my kindness and compassion. That I'm not perfect. I'm not going to ever pretend I am. I mix my words up. I have a Sussex twang that I hear sometimes, think, oh, I hate how I say that word. But I always try to say kids instead of children because I hate the way I say children. It's weird, isn't it? So I think it's just my success is me being me, and people resonating with my journey, resonating with and being open that vision boards are another way of looking at how you can set goals. And I think if someone is open to learning and growing, you're always going to get something out of it. Whatever it is, there'll always be something. Even if you then fear it and put it to one side, it'll be that it will be sewn in the back of your head and it will make you come back to it, or you'll start doing things without you realizing that's on your vision board. I've heard people say to me that, I know you said put it out and look at every day, but it ended up just being, part of the furniture. And then when I went back to it, because I thought, oh, I need to get realigned again, I realized actually I completed so much on there because it was already where energy goes, attention flows. And we're open. If you ever wanted a white car, all you see is white cars on the road, and your vision board is there to actually really manifest it and make it happen. I do think you do have to sit with it and visualize it and use these things and put the plan in action. But I think overall, I think people don't realize, but they're actually, the fact they've actually done it, they're already doing some of the things, even if they're not showing up for all of it.
Yeah. So what's coming up next? Is there anything you'd like to share with people that are listening to this? What are you hoping to achieve that you'd like to share?
I would like to have some online courses where people can have self-pace. So it's the tech that's holding me back, which can be frustrating, but it's coming. But I can always, I've got all the material, and in January, on January the 15th, I'm going to actually do more of a self-love / compassion, a bit of a hug, use the hug method, because really we need to take more of nature and listen to nature. And really in January and even December, it is about hibernating, but for some reason in December we all go full out and until we're frazzled, because obviously that one day that crops up. So January is about tuning into you, finding that self-love and compassion. It's a Sunday the 15th. It's just going to be £10. We're going to just run it online, have a blanket, and we're going to do a bit of journaling to really start exploring. If I was to say to you, what do you love about yourself? It sometimes for some people can really make them cringe. So it's learning to love yourself enough to show up. And then I've got various vision board workshops that will be through the year. I will do one at the end of January. One in February is always good. One in April where we declutter your thoughts, declutter your home. So it's really concentrating more on that second connection with your physical home. When we make that space in our house, we can then feel we've got space in our heads. And people can kind of just work with me. Either I can go into people's workplaces, virtually or online with organizations. So I work with charities. I can do one-to-ones. They work really well when people just feel that they need to just reconnect. And people can find me obviously on Instagram and Facebook is my two preferred socials. We could easily get lost down all the others. I probably do need to do LinkedIn as well, but I'm under Vision Boards for All, so people can find me that way as well. So
fabulous. Okay, so as you know, this podcast is to inspire people. So for women starting out or growing a business, what would be your top tip that you would give them that you have learned along the way?
It's trusting yourself. It's making sure you're showing up for yourself, feeding your self-care vision board, because it's no good getting that successful business that you want if you are completely burnt out and at the bottom of the pile. It's about celebrating your uniqueness, not being, celebrating not being perfect. There's always someone, if you were to look at life in mountains and you're all walking on your mountain, there will always be someone that you're inspiring to, but there's always someone behind you inspired by you, and we're all kind of following a pattern. But don't get wrapped up in that comparison. If you're taking consistent action and you're showing up for yourself, being aware of your fears and your limitations, and then working them out, either working with a coach of some form, if it's you want to get fitter, or that you wanting to help with mindset, whatever it is, finding someone that you really, really connect with to help you on your journey and champion you. And trust and believe it will happen when it's meant to happen. And not pushing it. When we're pushing all the time, we then don't see the space for the opportunities of saying over here, and you're not seeing them because you're so laser focused at moving forward. We've got to be able to see the trees. And at the end of the day, everyone wants to live at the top of the mountain, but all the happiness and the growth occurs when you're climbing it. So it's showing up with gratitude, thankfulness, finding 3 things a day to be really truly grateful.
I so relate to that. I don't know if you've seen, I've been doing my 6-minute diary. I've been doing it online once a week, but I've obviously been doing it every day myself. But it really is doing those 3 small gratitude things, of what, the small things that do matter, that you don't always think of, and you're always aiming for the bigger thing.
Yes.
But they do massively matter, more than you think, because you do to forget those things along the way whilst you're climbing the mountain, like you say.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely. And when I was obviously poorly, I couldn't see the wood for the trees, and I had to start just writing 3 things that I was grateful for. And it might be that I was grateful that I had a nice sleep and the sun was shining in the window, and as soon as I wrote kind of 3, I then could be grateful for my family, the carpet that's on my floor, the water that's running for our tap. We still in England, no matter how, or even in the Western world, we are still richer than we're 80% richer than I think that's word. No, 20% is the other way around, isn't it? We're in the 20% category of being the richest in the world, and we come from a place of lack so much rather than abundance. And actually, if we are able to put food on our table, no matter what kind of food, if we're actually being able to put a hot meal, we're pouring water from the tap, we have carpet maybe on our floor, all those things, we should be complete, and we've got love in our life. Either loving ourselves, it doesn't have to always come from people, it can become from friends, it can come from volunteering, it's our purpose. We're very, very rich. Some of the poorest people in the world are happier than us. So it's getting
There's
back
a lot, doesn't it?
yeah, it's coming back to that happiness and being thankful for the really little things.
Yeah, definitely. Gosh, this is such an inspiring episode for the very first one of 2023. I can't wait for this to go out.
Oh,
so Vanessa, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. I'm sure that this really does inspire so many people. And for those listening, I do encourage you to either work with Vanessa or find the right person for you to create your vision board, because with everything that Vanessa has said, the psychology behind it all, it just really is so powerful if you do it in the right way. So Vanessa, are you happy for me to share your links and everything in the show notes? And then people can connect with you, find you.
That would be lovely. Thank you. And
That's
thank you
great.
so much for having me, because
No, you're welcome.
Thank you. It's so lovely.
Thank you so much for listening to the Courageous Goals podcast. I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode and taken something of value for you. If you'd love more advice, coaching, inspiration and support, head on over to join many other courageous women in business in our free community group over on Facebook. We'd love to welcome you. You can also find free useful resources over on the website at leannebrown.com/resources. Right, that's all for this week. I look forward to sharing another episode with you next week.